Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Significant Run 1849. Am I the a-hole for not accepting to raise my daughter, 2 female, along with her cousin, 1 male, as siblings? Me, 28 female, and my husband, 28 male, have been together for 9 years, married for 4 years. We have a baby girl together. About my husband's family. My husband was an only child until he was 10 years old. His aunt, mother-in-law's younger sister, and uncle died in a car accident. My mother-in-law and father-in-law adopted their nephew, my husband's cousin. Biologically, my husband and brother-in-law, 24 male, are cousins. Legally, they are brothers. Until he started dating his now wife, I had a great relationship with him. But his wife, my sister-in-law, 32 female, never liked me. I don't know what's her problem with me, but she was always distant and condescending. We were cordial for family's sake and kept our distance. Other than that, I have a wonderful relationship with my in-laws. There is something you guys need to know about my mother-in-law. She wanted a girl child but ended up with 2 boys. My mother-in-law older sister has 3 boys. So everyone in my husband's family are boys. And when my daughter was born, my mother-in-law and her sister cried with happiness. She is the first and only granddaughter on both sides of our family. My brother-in-law really respects and loves my mother-in-law. When my sister-in-law got pregnant, she announced that they are definitely going to have a girl child too, even though she was too early to know the gender of the baby. She was really disappointed when she found out they are going to have a boy. She promised my mother-in-law she is going to give her a granddaughter soon. My mother-in-law told her she is happy if both the baby and mom are happy and healthy. She doesn't care about the gender. Recently, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law found out they cannot have more kids. This Sunday, we gathered at my mother-in-law's elder sister's house. My husband's cousin's girlfriend asked me if we will have more kids. I was honest and told her I don't know. We probably won't because our lives are pretty busy with office and a toddler. My sister-in-law then told me we can raise our kids as siblings. I was confused and asked her what does that even mean. She replied that since neither of our kids might not have siblings, we can raise our kids together. She said we can meet every Saturday and Sunday so that the kids can spend some time together. When the kids grow, they will share their chores, snacks, toys at both our houses. They will be joining the same school and have the same circle of friends. My sister-in-law wants to be my daughter's confidant and secondary parent to my daughter so that she will experience raising a daughter. And my husband can do the boy things with their son so that he will have experience with raising a son. I was flabbergasted. I told her, no, we are not going to do any of those things. My daughter and nephew are going to grow up like normal cousins. Sister-in-law was mad. She said I am depriving my daughter a sibling and my husband a chance to parent a son. I was honestly pissed and told her if I feel like my husband wants to have a son and my daughter needs a sibling, then we will have another child or adopt one. She started screaming. I don't know what happened because we left pretty quickly. I talked to my husband's cousin. She told me sister-in-law was seething with anger and everyone is confused about my sister-in-law's behavior. I am cuddling my kid and her comments about being my daughter's confidant and secondary parent is giving me a bad taste. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? What do you guys think my best plan of action would be? No, OP, you are most definitely not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law's obsession with having a daughter has nothing to do with you, and her expectation to play secondary parent to your child is completely inappropriate and kinda stupid. Your daughter is not a replacement for the child she couldn't have. If I were you, I would shut this down completely by making it crystal clear to sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and the entire family that your daughter has 2 parents, no extras needed. I'd also set firm boundaries with sister-in-law and keep a close eye on how she interacts with my child moving forward. If she continues this behavior, I would definitely limit contact. Her feelings are not your responsibility, but protecting your daughter is. So again, OP, most definitely not the a-hole. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. The last word 63 says, not the a-hole. Why would your husband parent her son? That is very creepy, especially since he has a father. I wonder what his actual father thinks about the statement made by her. You should also keep your daughter away from her. Beneficial Job 8782 says, not the a-hole. I mean, same age cousins do stuff together normally. That's like spending time with family, but being a secondary parent is where the line needs to be drawn. Was your brother-in-law on his wife's side? They could adopt or use surrogacy if they really want another kid. And OP responds, men of our family were responsible for childcare. They are not present when we were having this conversation. I don't know if he knows about the conversation. AdBitter4706 says, not the a-hole at all. I wouldn't do anything different than what you are currently doing, except not leaving your daughter unsupervised with sister-in-law. If sister-in-law so desperately wants a daughter, they should adopt. It sounds that there were underlying issues she needs to work through, not your problem or responsibility. And Groovy Yaya says, bleach on the misogyny behind the idea that your husband wants to parent a son, only child, and a daughter. Besides being standing up, there isn't a lot that your husband can do with a daughter that he can't do with a son. Fishing, sports, etc. All things a daughter can be interested in. A boy is no guarantee they'd like those things either. Also, siblings don't often have the same circle of friends. Besides, as an only, if you even contemplated this, they'd never really be raised as siblings, but it would diminish the potential wonderful cousin relationship. I am blessed with a few good ones myself. And Dopey responds, that's true. I hate how she thinks my husband wants a son and wants to do boy things with him. Like he will be unable to do those things with our girl. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that the sister-in-law has issues. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hello people, thank you so much for all the advice. 70% of the people told me to stay away from my sister-in-law and 30% told me to be empathetic towards her struggle. Following your advice, we came to a conclusion. This Saturday, since my husband is working from home, me and my daughter went to my parents' house. We had a pool party. It was so fun. After the party, I was checking my phone. There were missed calls from my sister-in-law and husband. I called my husband and found out that my sister-in-law came to our house with my nephew for bonding time. My husband firmly told her not to come unannounced and we already had other plans. There were messages from my brother-in-law to please meet at a cafe the next day. Me and my husband decided we will be meeting with only my brother-in-law. Next day, we met my brother-in-law. He apologized profusely for his wife's behavior. He had no idea about her plan. He promised us she will not be parenting our daughter. He explained the reason behind her behavior. My sister-in-law doesn't have a good relationship with her parents. Considering how well my mother-in-law treated her, she wanted to fulfill my mother-in-law's wishes about a granddaughter. So, she always hoped she could have a daughter. Me and my husband accepted his apology and laid out our boundaries. 1. No more showing up unannounced. 2. My sister-in-law is a stay-at-home mom. She used to drop her kid with me every week for a few hours to have alone time. We decided no more dropping their kid at our home. Kids will be meeting only at the monthly brunch at my in-laws' home. I don't want my daughter to go completely no contact with her cousin. My kid isn't going to their house. I also don't think it's right to ask a mother to drop the kid and get out of the house, so we will not be taking care of the nephew every week. 3. We are going low contact with sister-in-law and no more talking about sharing the kids. 4. She will not be alone with my daughter under any circumstances. And 5. I expect an apology from her. My brother-in-law was disappointed but agreed with the conditions. He told us he doesn't even want to have any more kids because they cannot afford it. My husband, mother-in-law, and brother-in-law went to talk to her. Apparently, my husband was stern with her. He was furious about parenting our daughter and treating the kids like props. He isn't interested in doing father-son things with him. We will be the aunt and uncle that spoils him. That's all. That's it. She isn't going to be our daughter's confidant. She is never going to parent our kid. She actually lost all privileges of an aunt. She isn't going to be alone with our daughter under any circumstances. My mother-in-law assured her she loves her grandchildren equally. My brother-in-law wanted her to go through an evaluation, but she firmly refused. She understands she crossed boundaries and she respects our space, but she isn't going to a doctor. She was just dealing with the loss of not having any more kids. She apologized to my husband and mother-in-law. She texted me a few hours later and apologized. For now, we will stick to the rules. I feel like her apology is sincere, but I am going to maintain the distance. I will be protecting my kid. Now, I read each and every comment, so I will be answering a few questions. What's my husband and brother-in-law's opinion on this? They are not okay with the agreement and shocked too. What's wrong with having a close relationship? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I love my nephew, but I am not going to raise them like siblings. I am happy if they have a close relationship, but I am not going to force them to act like siblings. I am not happy she decided everything about their lives. What about security? We have a strong security and wonderful neighbors. I already informed them about the situation briefly. They told me they have my back. Sister-in-law and brother-in-law don't have keys. Neither do my in-laws. I am going to check the brakes and locks frequently. Also, in case something happens, my parents will be getting custody of my daughter. What about sister-in-law and nephew? I told my husband about PPD. He discussed with brother-in-law and mother-in-law. They tried talking to sister-in-law, but she is reluctant to go. My brother-in-law promised he is going to make sure she will start therapy. My nephew is happy and healthy. He is well taken care of. We will be checking upon him frequently. Also, someone called me AI. Lol, that's really funny. From now, we will be visiting my in-laws' house, confirming sister-in-law isn't going to be there. My daughter visits the park regularly, so she will not be deprived of meeting with people her age. We also decided my best friend's parents or my parents will be taking our kid in case of an emergency. My daughter loves my best friend's kids, 4 female, 7 female, so I guess there will be no problem. Anytime my mother-in-law misses her granddaughter, she is welcome in our house. Thank you guys, truly. Me and my husband had so much discussion regarding everything. It's a combined decision. I didn't go with him because we thought she would feel ganged up on. P.S. I did read the story about the woman whose sister-in-law wanted their baby. It scared the crap out of me. Well, OP, hopefully your sister-in-law can be convinced to see a specialist because, yeah, she's definitely got some issues. But the most important thing is that you and your husband are keeping your daughter safe. So here's wishing you guys the best in the future. Thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Carplast. Am I the a-hole for trying to get my neighbors to not block my front door? I, 32 female, live in New York City. I recently moved into a small building, 3 stories, 6 apartments in total. My apartment is a ground floor unit. From move-in, a neighbors, 40 female and 40 male, have been storing their large stroller in front of my front door, which poses problems every time I have to come and go from my apartment. It is also against fire code and explicitly forbidden in the building's leases. The stroller is there every day unless their kid, 3 male, decides he doesn't want to walk. One day, when I heard them leaving it there, I introduced myself and politely said them leaving their stroller there was causing me issues and it is against the city's fire code and asked them to no longer keep their stroller in front of my front door. The 40 female neighbor gave me excuses that they live on the 3rd floor, but the 40 male neighbor straight up raised his voice at me while I was holding my infant daughter. The woman said as a compromise she'd fold the stroller when leaving it in front of my door. As time went on, the stroller was never folded up and continued to block my door. As it is against fire code and explicitly forbidden in the lease, I decided to reach out to property management for help resolving the issue. I just want to be able to safely come and go from my apartment. The day the property management enforced this on these neighbors, the 40 female neighbor rang my doorbell and proceeded to refuse to speak to me and called her mother. Her mother then berated me on speakerphone and said I should have spoken to them first, ignoring me when I said I did. She then kind of threatened me saying I complained about the wrong people. I was stunned and couldn't believe this was happening. All I could muster was insisting it is against fire code and no one gets to break fire code. I am baffled by this behavior. I found it a bizarre confrontation, and I didn't know adults would act this way. They're not adults. I've never had issues with the neighbors here. I have a child younger than theirs and empathize with their situation, but their kid is massive and able to walk. They could just have an umbrella stroller like I do. I just wanted access to my front door. Am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole. What the hell did I just read? A 40-year-old woman calling her mom on the phone, putting her on speaker to berate another person? Yeah, she's an idiot. Anyways, OP, you followed the rules, handled it politely, and only escalated when they ignored you. Their entitlement is not your problem. If I were you, I would document everything in case they escalate further. Any threats, harassment, or lease violations go straight to property management. And of course, stand firm. Fire codes exist for a reason, and you don't have to justify wanting safe access to your own home. Their poor planning doesn't make their stroller your problem. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Unfortunate Daring says, not the a-hole. Why didn't you just close the door on these a-holes? Just report them again for harassment to property management. Start videoing any interaction with them. And Dopey responds, 100%. I was kicking myself for not recording it. It wasn't a long interaction, but it went on too long. I kept hoping I could make it rational. I'd recommend to anyone recording interactions if you think it might get pear-shaped. Waiting for Letdown says, not the a-hole. The getting mom on the phone tells you all you need to know about the maturity of a 40-year-old person. Foxetic VRC says, not the a-hole. Your neighbors are really entitled. No normal person would want to leave their property outside a stranger's door for days on end. Consider reporting them again to building management for the confrontation. This kind of behavior was completely uncalled for. And David says, not the a-hole, but I would consider telling the property manager you've been threatened. Of course, that would escalate and make things worse, but you're being bullied. I'd try to get out of the lease and move. OP's edit. I appreciate the outside perspective. I didn't think I was the a-hole, but I do have hardcore people-pleasing tendencies, and it was very clear my actions hurt people's feelings, and it gave me self-doubt. The reason I engaged with the mother on the phone at all is bizarre too. It's all just too weird, and I'm reeling a little, lol. The 40 female neighbor has an unusual way of speaking. I haven't been able to work out if it is an accent or what. When she put her mother on speakerphone, I had a sinking thought that maybe the 40 female neighbor is deaf and needs someone to talk for her, and I felt bad that maybe I'd made a deaf person feel victimized when they can't speak up for themselves. But like, she clearly wasn't deaf, her mother was just on speakerphone with no video and she had zero issues following the conversation. Apart from this incident and the other crappy neighbor stuff this woman and her man have pulled, they seem like normal functioning adults. The man does not have an unusual way of speaking. I don't think her unusual way of speaking is really a factor in whether I'm the a-hole, and I have been so eager to be polite and respectful. It became clear very quickly the phone call wasn't really about helping in communication, but just messy people expressing their anger as much as possible. But yeah, that's why I let the phone call happen. Messy. The community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and OP, even if she was deaf, she can still be an a-hole. She understood when you asked the first time, but she kept doing it. Anyways, let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. So it has been almost a month, and I am pleased to say the stroller has not been in front of my door since the events in my original post. Luckily, I have not run into them in the hallways or experienced real fallout. I heard the man a couple of times tell his kid, "That's where the snitches live." And I think the mother from the phone call was in the building once, and I heard her call me a bitch outside my door. The woman neighbor also stuck her middle finger up at my front door a few times. That petty behavior stopped pretty quickly, and they seem to have gotten over themselves. I'm not bothered by their silly little insults. The neighbors also started using an umbrella stroller pretty soon after my original post. I'm glad they finally have taken responsibility for their own belongings and used a little bit of troubleshooting to work their problems out. I didn't end up putting up a video doorbell as commenters suggested on the original post. I don't think I had to, as it turns out. They just needed to get over themselves, get a handle on their emotions. I am actively avoiding them though, but that has been easy so far. So yeah, that is the best outcome. I'm just enjoying having space to come and go from my apartment. Well, OP, it seems that you don't have a problem with your neighbors anymore, but I'd still be on the lookout. So here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.